When you hear Art Nouveau, what's the first thing that comes to mind? You probably imagine nature-inspired posters, exquisite furniture, or European architecture. But there's one more field that was largely influenced by Art Nouveau and remains extremely popular today. The correlation between comic art and Art Nouveau does not seem obvious at first. To trace it, we have to travel back to the 1890s and explore Art Nouveau history, aesthetics, and artists. So, let's start from the very beginning. It's the late 19th century. The world is inspired by the first public screening of the Lumiere brothers film and Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's time to make art and design an integral part of everyday life. It's Art Nouveau time. Characterized by curved lines and nature-inspired forms, Art Nouveau fascinates the public and appears in architecture, interior design, graphic art, furniture, jewelry, textiles, and lighting design. For the first time, everyone gets a chance to enjoy beautiful design. But how come? The answer lies in the history of Art Nouveau. It all began with the arts and crafts movement in Great Britain. Oxford University students, including William Morris, a textile designer and social activist, initiated the movement in the middle of the 19th century. They strived to prevent the decline of decorative arts. They celebrated true craftsmanship and spread their message to European societies and beyond. Japanism greatly influenced Art Nouveau as well. Gustav Klimt and other artists drew inspiration from sophisticated Asian prints and refined woodworks. However, a turning point for the movement was the Exposition Universelle in Paris. It was the first international event that showcased the works of different artists and made Paris the heart of Art Nouveau. Later, the style grew into a global movement that spread to Belgium, Netherlands, Scotland, Spain, Germany, Australia, and the United States, and changed the history of art. The next chapter in our story is devoted to the impact of Art Nouveau on graphic design. In a bit, we'll share how and why it influenced comic art as well. Ready to move on? Curved asymmetrical lines, flat organic shapes, nature-inspired elements, and the abundance of muted shades. These words perfectly describe Art Nouveau aesthetics and the works of graphic arts pioneers. Alphonse Mucha, Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, Gustav Klimt, and Eugene Grasset. What's your favorite Art Nouveau artist and why? The best-known artist of this movement is Alphonse Mucha. His style was synonymous with Art Nouveau, and here's why. One day, he agreed to design the Gismonde poster for French actress Sarah Bernhardt. It only took him 14 days to create, but it made him famous forever. The poster featured a small amount of text, floral patterns, botanical motifs, a muted color palette, and highlighted the artist's main source of inspiration, nature.
As human beings, we are hardwired to relate to nature in a positive way. Some of our first artistic expressions will be random curves and wavy lines that evoke plants or vines. So much of our early artistic development relates to objects we see in nature: grass, flowers, the sun, trees. And as we get older and as outdoor pursuits decline, even short exposure to nature can have a profound effect on people.
There was one more key feature that made the poster so unique. A vertical format that was rarely used back then, but is widely used in today's comic art. Sarah Bernhardt was extremely happy with the poster. She signed a 6-year contract with Alphonse Mucha, who later produced dozens of other works that inspired an entire generation of artists to explore Art Nouveau aesthetics. Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec was another prominent artist of the movement. As a frequent visitor of the Moulin Rouge Cabaret, he created posters for their events. Among the most popular works is a poster of a French dancer. Thin lines, delicate swirls, and the flat nature of the print mark his signature style and showcase another significant Art Nouveau theme: glorification of women. Just look at these posters by Eugene Grasset. Prints produced by the Swiss artist place women in the center of every artwork. He also portrayed Sarah Bernhardt as Jeanne d'Arc and produced many other posters drawing inspiration from Japanese woodblock printing. Art Nouveau typography also deserves a spotlight. The most popular typeface was designed at the Otto Weissert foundry. It has decorative elements and a seemingly random emphasis on strokes. Ekman typeface is known for its floral motifs. It is largely inspired by Japanism, as the font resembles Asian calligraphy. Arial is worth mentioning as well. Its curved lines and decorative strokes were used for prints as well as entrance signs for the Paris Metro.
Art Nouveau will appear wherever it's needed. If I were to design a book cover for a book about Art Nouveau, I would use Nouveau motifs and ideas. There are plenty of cafes and shops that use it in signage because they want their facades to look nice. It often appears on posters, whether they're evoking the 60s or they want their work to look pretty. That is just the nature of design. If the brief requires it, it will appear.
However, Art Nouveau is more than just a nice-looking aesthetic. Vertical compositions, nature-inspired elements, and decorative typefaces, which were featured on Charles Vess's covers for Drawing Down the Moon and DC's Stardust. Female superheroes such as Promethea and the 2D floral cover of Marvel's Daredevil quickly attracted attention, thus selling the product well, whether it was a poster, music album cover, or a comic book. For this reason, comic book artists were also inspired by the commercial potential of Art Nouveau posters. And although the history of the movement stretches back more than a century ago, we can still spot touches of Art Nouveau here and there. Subscribe to our channel to learn more about the history of other design movements